All right, good evening, everyone. Pushing a quick video out. I really didn't have plans to make a video tonight, but after seeing what the market is doing after hours, I figured it would be a good deal to take a look at a few charts real quick. I do have to make my way to the gym. I can't miss my workout. So we'll make this video quick. We'll cover a few charts that were being discussed in Discord, and then we'll wrap it up. We'll see what tomorrow brings, right? Everything is pretty much looking bearish for some of the stocks that we are looking at on the tech side. We're looking at SPY. It's down quite a bit. We're looking at QQQ. I'll start with SPX for just a second because I did take a swing on SPX to the downside. That should be up a lot tomorrow. Here was my logic behind that. So even if I look at the chart here, you would think, and I was thinking, before the week close, ideally we could see this push here um, as the next leg up for SPX, right? We've been getting a nice stairway here where we're pushing up, getting a healthy pullback, pushing up, getting a little bit of a pullback, pushing up again. So I thought maybe we can get here, but when I took the time to really review my chart, I went to the weekly and saw that we were in a very s scary situation. I didn't want to get at that point. I stopped being super bullish in this area, right? Because what you always have to be careful about is buying too high when you may be able to get the opportunity to buy something really low. So my thought with SPX when I decided to take the swing for puts was that when I caught a quick trade, I think around lunchtime to the downside for SPX. But what I was also thinking is here we'll probably see a healthy pullback between Friday and Monday on SPX before they can start to really try to challenge this. They would likely need a pullback. Now, I didn't know how much of a pullback we would get. And, when you start to watch the news towards the end of the day, you can see that there were some things brewing up that could be problematic to any of your call positions, but I didn't really see a need to go into tomorrow being bullish. I actually was going into the tomorrow with SPX being bearish. So I won't really even trade honestly after I take profits tomorrow on those swings. I say that, but I always end up finding a trade. But here is what I've was looking at with ES. So I did look at ES, same scenario, obviously. But what was funny is that my targets for ES, because I was in after hours taking a quick practice run after market closed. And so I did a trade and it actually hit my target. If I can get back into where we were, I'll take this out. All right, so here's my setup. So I got in here and I had a target, which I've since moved my profit, my risk to reward, so I'll just take it off. So I had a target from here to make it to here, and as you can see, we did, and then a little bit. So in the trade, I just was bumping my stop loss down in profit. So good move in futures to the downside. A nice pullback. Again, I didn't expect what came next, so I was already out the trade here. I think it closed here. Yeah, it closed here. So I was stopped out of trade here because look what we did. We pulled back, hit support on the wolf chart, and we bounced back up. I was done. I had other things to do. So when I look back and see what was happening, this move right here was very, very strong to the downside. So again, we'll have to see how we open up and if price holds down and if we're have additional lows to touch. There's always been a gaps that I saw that we needed to fill on SPX that we may eventually see before we make the next leg up to challenge some all-time highs. So I'm going to take these off. There's no need. This was just me tracking. And yeah, so futures are down tonight, obviously. And if you took swings, you'll probably be up. I did also take a swing on Netflix, the downside. Oh, one more thing with ES and probably the same story with SPX is that we're going to hit an order block on the daily if we get to this level here. And in what's holding us up right now from just tanking is this order block that we have that I'm showing on the 4 hour time frame. Now, if we lose that and we start to challenge the lows all the way down this 200 cloud, because again, we're getting a sell-off. There's probably fear, right, in the market. May get more fear at opening. Then we'll likely hit this area here. So we'll have to see how it all plays out. Again, I just will raise my stop loss once we open up and see how much more profit I can take. But it's always good when you can make your paycheck in a trade. Always a good day. I really like SPX over SPY because the payout is much bigger. So that's been my horse lately. I know I'm always on QQQ, but lately it's definitely been SPX for the moves. Let's go ahead and look at, I'll take Netflix first and show you guys what I was seeing on the charts. Um, take all of this off. So what made me bearish on Netflix was the signal here. So on the wolf chart, we were getting the inverse arc play out. We had already started to pull back, right, from this rejection. We couldn't break the high here. So I think the pullback all healthy was going to play out. And so we did. And then I based it off of this candle here and just seeing if we can challenge and hold above the high of this candle. That didn't happen. There's a nice opportunity for us to lose the low of what was this? Wednesday, and then potentially test the low of Tuesday. Anything lower than that, we can come as low as 1100s. We'll have to see how it all plays out. But for now, I think they're down after hours. So that was my move on Netflix. I do have it out until the 20th. I'll decide tomorrow if I'm well enough to take profit or if I want to leave it open a little bit longer. But yeah, Netflix was another one that had my attention and I was bearish on that one. So we'll see how Netflix plays out. I'll definitely have levels since I'm already tracking it. Um, and let's see, I think I'm up 70% on these puts after hours. So we'll see how it all plays out. So that's the story with Netflix. I'm honestly gonna just look to see where we're actually, I'll just look real quick. We're $15 down after hours on Netflix. So with me taking the trade from this candle and we are at 1200. The low of this candle was $1,196. We can test the low of this one. If we lose the low, we'll just keep pulling back. You'll play it level by level from there. But yeah, that's the story on Netflix. I really just took the trade based on the fact that on the daily chart, we were getting the inverse arc. Um, so that was a signal for me to consider taking a trade. We're so far away from the 200. We're so far away from this earnings anchored VWAP. So yeah, I thought it was worth it to swing out some puts. And my theory was we test some additional support levels after what I think this is what our all-time high on yeah, this is like an all-time high on Netflix. So at all-time high, I just was anticipating a pullback. So we'll see how low we go with Netflix. I was looking for the 1100s before I cash out, so maybe we'll get that tomorrow. What was another trade that we were looking at? We were looking at ZOM. So a few people. Thank you guys for tagging me and let me know you took the trade on ZOM. Let's see where we are with ZOM. So I had some levels. I think I've since cleared it out that ZOM needed to break. And obviously that has all played out. So we're here. I think the next idea is that we start to get above 110 and start to challenge the 111 area. And then we'll just keep making moves up. There's going to be some resistance that you have to keep in mind. So if you're not in ZOM, ideally a pullback, but I don't think ZOM is going to pull back because what we're looking at, let's see, with ZOM. Yeah, ZOM is already up $6.58. So I'm really happy if you took the trade when I told you that we were breaking resistance down here because again, we have earnings coming up on July 25th. Yes, we had resistance here, but ZOM as of now is all the way up to 116 and about to hit our main target. And so I'll just say congrats. That's amazing. So that's the story in Zom. Honestly, we're right at that target of 117.82, which was my main target. And so if we hit that, the challenge will just be chopping through here and breaking 119.91. Best practice is just to slide your stop loss up, right? With the news of war. Actually, let's have a little talk with Blackwolf. So Blackwolf is a tool that we use as wolf chart traders. So in the wolf uh, Discord, so if you're part, you have the wolf chart, you get access to the Discord. And one of the features is also being able to have access to a customized chat GPT called Blackwolf. So I already did this. I asked Black Wolf to break down the ZOM chart. And let's just see where it had us going. Actually, I want to ask it. Okay, so I just asked Black Wolf to take a look at the daily chart for ZOM. It is trained to do that, and it will follow my confirmation system that we use for the wolf chart. So again, if you get the wolf chart with it, you'll also get access to the Discord, and one of the features in that Discord is access to Black Wolf. So here's Black Wolf telling us a bit more about ZOM. And so it gave me a few things to look out for, right? We're still below the 200 on the daily. So that means that on small time frames, we're able to catch those counter trades. Um, let's exit another question. Building me a trading plan. So it's going to give me an actual visual to what that would look like. It's so cool. So while we let that load up, it basically is it's a really good thing. So it'll give me all of my breakdown confirmation. It knows the system that I need to follow. It won't let me challenge it and make wrong moves. It'll actually coach me to follow my rules, be a smart trader. Um, so if you're wrong and you're trying to challenge it, it will, oh, it's like a coach. It'll coach you through it. So while that's building out, we'll go back to this real quick. So the story on Zom that I see is that guard your profits, especially with us being so high after hours. Look for 117.82 for sure as where you should see some significant challenges. Doesn't mean that again with the news and how aggressive Zom is moving to the upside, we don't see this get crushed. But just remember, you're going to have resistance at 117.82. That's the story on Zom. Oh, this was actually giving me a visual map. It didn't base it off of the Zom chart. I'll have to post the daily Zom chart. But that's Black Wolf. I love Black Wolf. You really can build out the best trading plans using it. I use it all the time. And it really actually works through. So I'm confident taking trades I'll have a whole conversation with Black Wolf, not just on charts, a lot of other breakdowns in learning my chart system and trusting it. So we'll get off of ZOM. Let's take a look at what was another one? UNH. Now, I'll be very honest, I will be down on UNH if I think I'll be down on UNH. It just won't matter because of how much I'm going to make on SPX. Where are we with UNH? Okay, so UNH had a gap up of $7.95. I could have taken profit. Actually, I did. I did take profit on UNH, but then I also added another position at another break. That's what happened. Yep. So I added another position, and my thought was that we still could come cha challenge these upside targets. I can't say for sure if we don't hit that. We'll have to see how UNH reacts. They are down $4.71. So again, I'll be down on that trade. I did swing it out, so I have time on my contract. However, I may if we're down, maybe it's better for me just to reposition myself in the trade rather than just holding. We have earnings July 29th, so this might be a good time for me to reconsider even longer dated contracts because we were moving, guys. So if you were able to take the trade when we were talking about UNH, you've made money off of UNH. I have. And it all started with uh, the gap up on Wednesday. So Wednesday gave us a nice gap up. And then we had a continuation candle on Friday. One of the things that I did like about UNH was that we were giving a floating candle on the 4-hour chart. Now, I knew there was still a risk taking a swing. That's why I gave myself time because I still wanted to see this area broken at 319.07 as my next level. And that's, but I was confident to take that trade still with the theory that we could, with time, get there. Better move as I'm looking at it would have been to wait for a pullback. So, gotta accept that I was a little bit wrong to hold here. But I would have been okay, honestly, if we wouldn't have had this news. We were getting some nice signals, and I just think that we still could test this if we didn't have the news challenging the market right now. But even so, look where we at, so I should have asked myself a question of was it worth it? And I did only position one contract just because I knew there was a risk of being in this order block. But I looked to see how many times we tried to push and wick out of it, and that had already happened here. And so I was just going to be patient to see that trade through based on the 4-hour confirmation. We cleared the order block that I was showing you guys. I think I showed you guys in Discord on the 3-hour. And so now it's just waiting for the 1 hour. So now that we're getting a pullback, honestly, I still have strong feelings that they can come and start to fill a gap. And we're just gonna have to see what the market does though, because we're dealing with some other issues that's influencing our trades. Um, Tesla. I had 110 on Tesla. I was thinking, tomorrow we'll get to 110. Contracts will be super cheap, but I think Tesla is already down a bit. Let's see where Tesla is. Tesla is down $8 after hours, after being down $7. So they're already at 310, which was about, yep, where I was looking for it to come to. When I seen so I in the video that I posted this week, midweek check-in, I told you guys that you can measure the high and low of the day on Tesla. So let's go to the daily chart and you can see exactly how that played out. So we were in a very interesting position, like I said, on Tesla, simply putting in the previous day high and the previous day low. You start to notice during the day we were not able to get to that previous day high and test it, try to wick through it or anything. And you can see that it's the area that matters on the chart because look at what price has been doing right at this candle's high point, right? We've been here before. So losing that level, not being able to break that level on a retest because we've been here before trying to hold that support, that make that resistance turn, well, actually at this point it's support. So we were trying to hold support. We lost it, pulled back, came back and tested it. And now we lost the low. So even if you did not catch the initial pullback on Tesla, which you would have if you were trading Tesla and following it in a smaller time frame. Even if you just looked at it from the previous day low, we went from 322. and the low of that wick came to 316. Still a nice trade if you had set an alert. But here's the funny story. On my video, I did put the lines here, but I forgot to set my alert. So I had no clue that Tesla was coming here. And so now, see, I would have gotten an alert. It's too late now. We're we're at my target 310. And I knew we'd come to about 315 and then 310. And we'll have to see if Tesla loses through 290, no, 305, we clear this fair value gap that this candle created. And I mean, we can come down to the 290s and then we can get back to this order block. So the verdict is out. Again, I think one thing that everyone should keep in mind that is that if you're down, right, if you're down in your contracts, then you should consider making sure that you come to the market tomorrow with a plan. You can either mope around that your account is red because maybe you're in some call positions, hopefully with time on them, or you're in shares. But even so, just make sure that you come with a plan because you can counter trade what your positions are if the trend is down and still make up the difference. So this is where you have to kind of use a little bit of trading psychology and not be overly emotional. We're human, so it's going to happen with the fact that maybe your account is down. Um, let's see. All right, so I just asked Blackwolf to help me with understanding what stocks to pay attention to. Um, Now that we have the fear of war, I wish I would have taken a position in gold from where we were, but I forgot to check gold. But yeah, gold would have been one. But yeah, look at how it's given us all of these recommendations. Let's take a look at LMT. LMT actually had a day where if you were following this particular stock, and you even just looked at the previous day high and low, we got that break here and they gapped up. So they were up already $12.67. And I believe someone had shared that LMT is up a lot in Discord. They're up $33 now. They're at 503. So from where they closed to 503, what you want to see next happen is you want to see LMT. If we're gonna continue being bullish here, you want to see them break 509.55. If you chase it at this high, they gapped up basically to this order block here. And they're at the peak of the 200 clouds. So with that, I would truly say the best opportunity would be to let it clear 509.55. Once you get a confirmed clear of 509.55, I am going to set a note daily. Bearish order block cleared. And so I'll know that we're at that price and I need to confirm that price is going to hold. And you can take it down to a smaller time frame at that point. You want to see this order block clear and then look at the gap up they have. So they have some opportunities around 539, 560 and so forth before they reach this. And they still have other high levels to go. I'm not going to get too deep into it. All I will say is that be careful chasing where they are now. They, where they are now, you would need a pullback and a fair value gap test because we'll have created a fair value gap from this big gap up. And then a nice attempt to again challenge this order block and clear it. 509.55 has to be broken. We can look at the weekly to see if there's anything. The monthly. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with 509. as the move that needs to happen. So as you can see, Blackwolf gave us a few stocks to watch. There was a wolf trader that shared that they had a conversation with Blackwolf on some of these stocks, and was asking about this. I thought that's pretty cool. So LMT, NOC, RTX, BA. We do know that BA had a gap down after, I think, news of a crash. I'm not going to spend too much time on the BA chart, but let's just take a peek and see if they have moved after hours due to the crash. I mean, due to the news. Yeah, they're just moving down. They're down another $3. So I don't think BA would be one of the ones just because of the news that we just got. But as you can see, we have ZOM, we have CVX, SLB, Oxy. So warfare often cause oil prices to spike, especially if the conflict involves oil producing nations. Gold is one of those safe places that you can see money flow to. Losers. Shipping. I didn't think about FedEx and UPS, but that's interesting. And as you can see, we're getting a little bit of a coaching Black Wolf mindset. War News is going to provide that volatility fuel that we need in the charts. The chart always tells the truth. Let fear move others. We move on confirmation. So if you want to be a part of the Wolf Pack, if you want to get access to Discord, if you want to have features like Black Wolf and real-time trade alerts that signal moves that's happening on some of our favorite stocks, you can click the link that will be in the comment section, and you'll get access to the subscription, and things that are included would be access to the Discord. We also get real live training sessions that are scheduled as a group, so we're getting master classes to continue to improve ourselves to be professional traders that trade by a mindset of what we see and not always what we feel. So if you want access, just let me know. If you have any questions and need more details on the chart system, reach out to me. And I hope that everyone has a great trading day. Remember, even if you open your chart, your account and you're down, if you have the capital, go look for the move, right? Don't get stuck in how much you're down. Control your emotions and know that where you're down, there's still an opportunity for you to go make that money up somewhere. So trade smart, trade with your rules, and eliminate the fear and the emotions behind it, because even if we drop, we know that puts will print. If we bounce, we know that we just were able to get into some of our stocks that we wanted at a much lower price. So have a great evening. I'll see everyone tomorrow in Discord, and I'll check in for work and I'll check in again after work. Have a great evening.